Okay, just to make sure, because I can't see everybody's face, Brian, Zia, Stephanie, are you guys back?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Okay, well, then we have our quorum. Introducing Scott Klaus, Director of Energy and Raw Materials for Vulcan, who's going to make a presentation through our speaker series regarding San Emilio Solar Project. Scott.
Absolutely. Thank you, Larry. Hey, thanks everybody. Good morning to you. Good afternoon here in Birmingham, Alabama. Thanks for this opportunity on behalf of Vulcan Materials to kind of share what we're doing from a strategic on our journey for decarbonization. I've got a few slides here, but definitely want to have some dialogue around how we made this work, some lessons learned, and then ultimately where we're going in the future. Just real quick, hopefully you can see this beautiful picture. This is the day our solar panels went live and started generating solar electricity that we run about 70 to 80% of our site from these panels. About 3,500 panels that track the sun. They're bifacial, so you get solar obviously on the main side of the panel, but you also get the reflective sunlight from the ground hitting the backside of the panel. So you get a efficiency gain from that solar panel being bifacial. So real quick, before we go a little bit deeper into the project and how it happened, I wanted to level set, make sure everybody understands Vulcan Materials at a glance. Vulcan Materials, we're based in Birmingham, yet we have operations from coast to coast and almost border to border. We are the largest construction aggregate company in the U.S. And what we like to say, we take the big rocks and we crush them into little rocks for roads, bridges, homes, infrastructure development, and it's a vital part of our everyday life. As we're doing this, as we've been doing this for many, many decades, we now see our future that we've got to get on our decarbonization journey. And we're getting more and more active in reducing our Scope 1, our Scope 2, and even our Scope 3 emissions as we go forward. When you look at Vulcan Materials, 400 construction aggregate sites across those 22 states, but we also operate a downstream concrete business as well as a downstream asphalt business for the road paving and the infrastructure development. So we're an integrated company touching all those different aspects of the infrastructure development. When you look at our decarbonization journey, and we're about to issue our 2022 ESG report over the next few weeks, what you'll see is our lion's share of emissions as a company really comes from Scope 1 emissions. Scope 1 being your direct emissions. That's diesel fuel that we consume. That's natural gas that we utilize as drying fuel. And a portion of our emissions then are Scope 2, the electricity, right? So that's what we're attacking with a strategy like what we're doing at the San Emilio quarry, where we're installing behind the meter solar on site to ensure that we reduce our reliance on the grid, thereby reducing our carbon footprint, but also helping the overall grid in California to help balance load on some of those peak days when we may not need that excess electricity. We'll talk more about that in a minute. The table here of the completed projects, the approved projects, the under evaluation, and beyond, that's sort of 2030 plus, is what you'll find in our ESG report. We are very active in getting projects on the ground today, planning projects for tomorrow, and evaluating projects for the and beyond. So we believe that with the projects that we have in evaluation and under approved right now, that we're pursuing by 2025, we believe over a quarter of our electricity in California will be sourced from solar generation. That's not good enough. We know we've got to do more, and we're
Scott,
pursuing.
are you advancing the slides? Because I'm
no, I'm still on. I was still on
okay.
the decarbonization one. Can you still see that?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Yep. So we know we need to do more. but we feel very good, very proud of the efforts that we've done over the last 2 years to bring on projects like the San Emilio site and 2 other that we have under development right now in California. So let's dive a little deeper into the San Emilio project. San Emilio is a sand and gravel quarry located in Bakersfield, California. It's an integral part to the community, and it's been there for decades, serving stone, sand, and gravel to the local markets. A few years ago, we did a case study on some of our sites that made sense to develop solar. And San Emilio was one of the sites that had the land available, about 10 acres of land that we had to make sure wasn't impeding future reserves, that we knew we had a home for someone to help partner with to build some solar panels. Vulcan is in the business of construction aggregates, and I don't want to get in the business of operating a generator, which is what a solar panel is. So I was trying to find, we were looking for folks who really understood, there's my Southern accent coming out, the folks, right? We wanted to look for a partner who could help us construct these solar panels to our benefit, but to also a third party's benefit. So we found a partner, White Pine, in California, who was able to finance the project. We were able to grant them a license to construct on our site. This is behind our primary meter with PG&E, the utility, and they are operating, and we are getting the kilowatt hours from the electricity and the renewable energy credits, the RECs, R-E-C-S, from every megawatt hour generated from the solar farm. So it's a win-win-win. We can do what we're good at, they can do what they're good at, and everybody can live symbiotically together. So as I mentioned, this site is a first of a kind for us. It came online in March of this year, and we're already seeing not only a cost reduction, we're seeing savings across the board, we're seeing a reduction in our Scope 2 emissions, and we're helping the utility with some excess generation in hours that we're not operating the plant. So we're really, really excited about what the first 3 months of this project holds, that I believe gives us the blueprint for future projects in the future. One last point on San Emilio, we're looking at further enhancing what we're doing for the environment and from a cost perspective. And we're able to find these smart batteries. So think about a Tesla smart battery that is the size of, size of a vehicle, right? That's sitting out by our quarry. That is really a battery that you're charging with electricity, and then you're able to discharge to help run the plant. So further reducing your reliance on the grid, further reducing how much CO2 that you're asking the utility to generate. And so we believe by pairing in the future on-site solar as well as battery storage systems, we believe that we can further enhance our savings and further reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So 3 pictures that you'll see. I love to share pictures. Obviously, the top picture is the operation. That is the San Emilio operation, our primary pit, the conveyors. The second picture is a drone footage of near completion of the San Emilio quarry taken last fall. And then the bottom picture is that's the day that I was there that it became operational. Beautiful day, beautiful backdrop, but I love to show that progression of pictures. So lastly, what's next? Already hit this. San Emilio really is a blueprint of what we want to do in California, and then we want to utilize this as we go further east, as we can ask utilities and ask partners to get more aggressive on rate design so we can implement more behind the meter solar projects in other markets that we have the fortune to serve in. It is important to make the note that this isn't applicable at all of our quarries. Not all of our quarries have the land. Not all the quarries have a rate design, as I mentioned, in a market that is conducive for a partnership like this. But we are certainly going to pursue this and continue to pursue this where we can. And as I mentioned, we have various other projects in California in various phases of approval and review throughout, that we believe a quarter to a third of our electricity usage by 2025 will come from behind the meter solar. That picture below, and I'll end here and open it up for questions, that picture below is a facility of ours in the Bay Area in Northern California, and those are some of our settling ponds. What we're working on at this facility is adding behind the meter solar on those ponds. So it would be the notion of floating solar. Whereas at San Emilio, we have the fixed ground mounted tracking, right? It tracks with the sun. This would be floating solar panels on the water that would help generate and actually help from an evaporation perspective too, right? You would limit evaporation by helping protect the water. That is in the approval process right now internally, as well as with the local utility. But we're really, really excited about that one maybe being our next one that we can announce. That's all I've got, but I would welcome your questions.